We're having a great time here at our Zip Trip in Roebuck, and of course if you've been down in this area you probably know about the National Historic Site, what is Walnut Grove, and so we want to bring in our friends to talk a little bit about that spot and the kind of, how it plays a role in this history and some of the things they're doing to kind of update that. And we have Lauren Persino-Frederick here with us to tell us more about it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, so you guys are really involved in making sure these stories are told, but let's first start about the Revolutionary War history of Walnut Grove and the Moore family. People may know Moore, South Carolina. That's where that comes from.
It is. And the Moores were patriots. We like to say that we tell the story of the free and enslaved people that settled the upstate and helped to build a new nation.
And so that started out, it was a land grant originally?
Yes.
And from the king?
Yes, exactly. A succession of land grants that eventually totaled almost 5 square miles. Mm-hmm. So I like to use that number when I tell people about generational wealth and what that means for descendants and how all that land that some of it we're standing on today, that as that gets sold off over time, how that builds wealth for the later generations.
And the descendants of the Moore families, some of them are still here.
Yes.
So that's a really interesting
Yes, and they're all over the country as well.
Yeah, and so what are some of the things that you guys do on Walnut Grove to kind of bring people in to educate them about it? I know there's some construction going on right now.
Yes, there's a restoration project happening right now, but we are still open to the public. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing for us is people really from all over the country come, and from other countries as well, but we love to focus on school children, local school children, so they can learn about their local history and to paint a picture of what life was like during that time so they can feel connected to their past.
Right.
Because it seems like for us, we're like, yeah, there was a time where we didn't have cell phones.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
To them, that's going back
yes.
in the way back.
But it's then like, going to Revolutionary War times. Like.
Yes. Painting a picture for children of how easy we have it in comparison to all the steps that go into everything.
I don't know if I could make it back then. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't think I could
all
either.
Of how easy everything is now.
Yeah, and you brought some artifacts of some of the things that you probably use to kind of educationally tell that story. What are some of the things we have here?
Well, some of these things that I have right now are artifacts that enslaved people would have been more likely to use. These are more like working tools. An item for luxury for women that would be a foot warmer, but it would be an enslaved person that would put the coals inside and set this up so that the wealthier ladies could put their skirts over it and keep their feet warm on their way to church. This is a gourd that was used for dipping water for cooking. This is a bed key. So the mattress would be filled with straw or feathers, depending on the season, and underneath it was ropes, and they would sag as you slept on them. So for the next night's sleep, that would use the bed key to tighten the ropes, and that's where the phrase "sleep tight."
Sleep tight
Oh
because
my
of the
gosh!
bed key.
Yes. I never knew that.
Wow, and that's amazing. And we were talking about this. I'm really passionate, of course. Anytime you've had to go to like a plantation and people talk about it, I always wondered like what the people that looked like me would be, what their experience would have been, and we all know what that experience would have been. And you guys are really passionate about making sure that Walnut Grove is honoring the enslaved stories.
Exactly.
There. And Lutz Wright is someone that grew up in this community and made an interesting discovery that really helps tell the story of the enslaved people. He found a chimney.
Yes.
And so he kind of reconstructed that and led it back to the enslaved stories.
Exactly.
And I had a chance to talk with him earlier this week about what that means and talked a little bit about that discovery and what he hopes it all means for the overall story, the complete story of Walnut Grove. Take a listen.
I am very big into the social history of things, so I like to know the stories of everybody and how they interacted in daily life.
What is your research focusing on, or what are some of the things that you found? You said you started this back in 2023?
Yes, so December 2023, I noticed a chimney on Stillhouse Road. They were clearing a patch of land, and through primary sources like census records and wills, I found that it was remnants of a slave chimney, and through there I used those primary sources and was able to uncover a lot of that history that we at Walnut Grove did not necessarily know at the time, and through that have been able to share these lost stories that are important for the public to know.
What are some of the other things that you may have found that may have put like some names or at least some more of a storyline to Faces of the Enslaved.
Really good place that I started was back in the 1930s. There was a project by the federal government, and they did what was called slave narratives. One of them was done by somebody that was formerly enslaved at Walnut Grove, and it gave a whole lot of information that told us about what was grown there, the daily lives, even things such as cabins and cemeteries as well. And as I said, primary sources really help when it comes to ages and name, especially later on in the 1850s, 1860s. And so that helps me connect it into after the Civil War, going into the 1870s, 80s, early 1900s, continuing trying to learn about not just the history of slavery, but the history of sharecropping after the Civil War. June 27th, I am going to be having a presentation at the Chapman Cultural Center discussing the research that I've already done, talking about the history of slavery at Walnut Grove, talking about how Walnut Grove is incorporating that history.
Thanks to Lutz Wright. He's at College of Charleston right now, kind of doing his studies, but he's going to be in Spartanburg at the Chapman Cultural Center because he's playing detective work. He found these bricks, and unfortunately that chimney was torn down.
Yes.
We don't know how, why, what happened with that.
Yeah, it was sort of coincidental timing right after we contacted the owners about it. So that it kind of paints the picture of why preserving history is so important. You never know when pieces could be lost.
And so the 27th at the Chapman Cultural Center, Lutz will be here to kind of tell more about the pieces.
Yes, he will. He'll share his research and what that means in the broader picture of telling the story of enslaved people that lived here. And that's up on our website now on spartanburghistory.org/events. Folks can get tickets for that. It's only $5, free for our members. And we would love to have people come out.
Well, you're so knowledgeable, and just with the sleep tight that we've learned, imagine doing like a full day. So if someone wants book a tour or have you just, teach them the stuff, how can we do that?
You can come to Walnut Grove anytime. From our summer hours are now Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5, Sundays 12 to 5. The tours are every hour at the top of the hour. And this is just a tiny fraction of the things that people can see when they come out and hear lots of stories about our forefathers.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And I know you guys are working to even do even other tributes to the enslaved folks and paying homage to them. So stay tuned for that.
Absolutely.
As well. Thank you, Lauren. We appreciate it. We'll put more information about it on our website, yourcarolina.tv.